Hi everyone. I hope we are all ready and set to our webinar. But before we proceed, please let me know on the chat bar if everything is fine with the audio and video, okay? And we'll take it from there. Just let me know if you have, if you see me well and you can hear me well, okay? Hello, Julie. France is good, so Phil is good. That's great. My name is Oscar, and I'm very, very happy to welcome all of you to our next expert webinar. Today, we've invited a marketing superstar and marketing guru, Larry Kim. Larry is the CEO of Mobile Monkey. They are provider of the most popular Facebook Messenger marketing platform. But Larry is also a founder of WordStream. This is the world's leading PPC marketing platform. He is also a well-recognized author, speaker, so he's quite big, and we have a lot to learn from him today. Most businesses today struggle with the same issue, which is converting prospects into customers. Marketing itself is not enough today. You need a right platform to educate your prospect into satisfied, so they become your satisfied customers. And that's where webinars come in handy. During this session, Larry will tell you how to combine the power of webinars with Facebook Messenger. But before we do that, we start the presentation and I leave you with Larry. I'd like to shortly tell you the agenda for today. So first, we'll start with Larry's presentation, which should last around 35 minutes. And after that, we'll have a live Q&A session with Larry. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please save them till the end of the session, okay? We'll have some time to answer them later. And for now, just enjoy the presentation. However, if you have any questions about ClickMeeting, about our product, feel free to ask them. Eva is here with me today. She will moderate the chat and she will answer all the questions you may have regarding ClickMeeting and our platform. I think that's almost it. But before we proceed to the webinar, we'd like to know, where are you guys from? We at ClickMeeting are based in Gdańsk, Poland. Larry connected to us today from United States. To know, where are you guys from? Let us know on the chat. John, I can see that you cannot hear anything, but I hope it will be fixed shortly. So we have people from Canada, Kansas, Monroe, Connecticut, Miami. We have people from Poland. So this is quite global event. And I'm very happy you take your time to join us today. And now I think I'm done. And I want to leave you with Larry for now. Enjoy the presentation and see you guys in 35 minutes. Larry, the floor is yours. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you very much for that great introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Today we're talking about driving growth with the power of webinars and Facebook Messenger. I've got an exciting presentation prepared for you today. This is a topic that's really important to me because webinars are actually one of my best growth marketing channels. When you're selling software and solutions that require more than 10 seconds to explain, a webinar is a really fantastic channel for selling solutions. Unfortunately, that isn't to say that it's perfect. I do have one or two big issues with webinars these days. Firstly, webinars aren't exactly new. I do like 15 webinars or 10 webinars, every month. So because they're very popular. I think it can be more competitive and it's more challenging to get your webinar the attention that it deserves, and it can sometimes be difficult to get large numbers of signups. The other challenge that it's been an issue is just getting people to actually attend the webinars. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, the attendee rates for me personally were around 30%. In recent years, over the last this year, I'm finding it's anywhere between 10 to 15%. Now it's not terrible. You can still send out the recording, but of course we'd love these attendee rates to be higher and to drive more to drive signups. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Some new tips and strategies on how to revitalize some of your webinar efforts in terms of how to drive more signup and increase the attendee rates. Some of it is just using some of my basic marketing strategies, but also using chatbots and Facebook Messenger technology. Because if we could get more registrations and have double the number of people show up, I think that would be really fantastic for all of our businesses. Before we get into all of the tips and tricks and hacks, I wanted to just give you a quick agenda. I'm going to just be sharing with you 3 really great tips today. Three tips. Mostly we'll be talking about unicorns, but a little bit we'll be talking about webinars. Just kidding. Specifically, I'm going to tell you my 3 tips are: 1, the unicorn method for finding better webinar topics. Number 2 is a unicorn summit strategy for getting more webinar registrations. And number 3 will be the unicorn chatbot marketing strategy for improving the attendee rates. All right. Now, before getting into all those details, I just wanted to introduce myself briefly. My name is Larry Kim. I'm slightly obsessed with unicorns. I started the International Unicorn Marketing Association back in 2009. So, like, I know if you look in the news today, unicorns are everywhere, and you might be thinking, I'm so sick of these stupid unicorns. But just remember, I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon today. I've been doing this for like a decade. I started a company called WordStream back in 2008, literally with nothing. I was just myself working out of a bakery called Panera Bread because it had free Wi-Fi and unlimited Diet Coke refills and free rent. The company today is much bigger, employing over 300 people and managing $1 billion of advertising spend for tens of thousands of customers worldwide. It's the world's leading pay-per-click advertising software company. And it was really fun to grow that business from literally nothing to over a $55 million business this year. And the business was actually acquired in July by a company called Gannett for $150 million. That's pretty recent. It's pretty fresh. It just happened literally a couple weeks ago. And sometimes a couple of my friends ask me, what's that like to sell a business for $150 million? And I think honestly, it's kind of a relief because I spent the last decade, blogging and talking about how to grow your business and all these unicorn hacks and tips and tricks on how to do great marketing. And it would have been really embarrassing if the company wasn't successful, and because then I would have to do webinars about how not to run a business. Just kidding. In last year, I've been really busy. I started a new company called Mobile Monkey. It's a Facebook Messenger marketing platform. It's pretty amazing, and we have over 1 million users of this product. And outside of work, I am in my spare time working on restoring a 200-year-old haunted house in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And you can kind of see the before and after photos here. I'm about 3 or 4 months from completing this project. Okay, enough about me. We're back to our story. Remember, there were 3 tips that I wanted to provide you today on how to have better marketing efforts with webinars, starting with tip number 1. It's my unicorn strategy for finding better webinar topics. And basically, the problem is today that 98% of your webinar efforts will go nowhere. This is not an accusation. This is just the truth. I totally know why this is the case. Basically, I see this everywhere. So if you think about all the blog posts that I personally write, all the content, last year I did over 300 different articles. About 8 of them did spectacularly well, but the remaining 292, or roughly 97% of them, went nowhere. They were donkeys. And so basically, why is that? Why are so few of my articles doing so great and the rest of them doing terrible? It has to do with just Google and Facebook algorithms have changed over the last few years. They've dramatically changed how they reward traffic to websites, and basically probably like 70 or 80% of your traffic comes from Google and Facebook combined, and so these algorithms really reward unicorns and punish donkeys. What I mean by this is like if you look at like the top articles for the month at Inc. magazine, so I'm a columnist there, what you can see is in 2005 the top 10 articles were pretty equally distributed in terms of traffic. In 2016 it became a little bit, more winner takes all, like where, the top 3 articles started to get a lot more traffic than everything else. And now in last year in 2017, the top 2 articles got more traffic than all the other articles combined on the top 10 list. You see what I'm saying? So it's just becoming more and more winner take all, and that's because of how the Facebook and Google algorithms have been shifting. It's not just about more traffic, it's also about sharing. So like, for example, in 2015, the top 10 articles, most shared articles on Inc. magazine had pretty much the same results. In 2016, the top 2 articles got more shares than everything else combined. And so basically what I'm saying is, this is a phenomenon that we see in content marketing, everywhere. This is like a Facebook page where you're posting, 129 different status updates and measuring the click-through rates of the different posts. Most of the posts, meaning like, 226 of them are donkeys with low, crappy click-through rates. But 3 of them did extremely well and were very engaging and very exciting. And those are the unicorns that you should be focusing your time and effort on. It's always the case that a very small percentage of your content generates most of the traffic. So for example, 10% of my content generates 60% of my blog traffic. And so basically the unicorn marketing strategy is just saying, let's align our webinar creation efforts to align with sort of the true quality content ideas that we have here. And I'm not talking about like trying to create a viral hit. Sometimes when I talk about unicorns, people say like you're trying to create some kind of a big viral hit. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about, because that's very, very hard to do. What I'm saying is just look at the content that you have, that you've done in the past. Identify the top 3% of that content, the stuff that's generating most of your blog traffic, etc. Everyone has unicorn content, no matter how crappy your blog is. 3% of it will be less crappy than everything else. So just find the ideas and topics that have done well in the past, and just kind of figure out which ones to focus on based on looking at their click-through rates. So the reason why I suggest we look at the click-through rates is just because marketers are biased. They all suffer from donkey denial syndrome. They think that all of their marketing campaigns are unicorns, when in fact most of them are something else, like a rhinoceros or triceratops or stegosaurus or some other creature they thought was a unicorn but was actually like a mosquito or something. And so basically the idea here is just to be a little more objective. Try to find the true high-performing content by looking at the outcomes. So the idea here is just produce a lot of content, a lot of blog posts, a lot of email blasts, a lot of Twitter campaigns, etc., etc. Measure the engagement rates. Kill the donkeys. Anything that does really badly, just don't bother spending any more time on that. And then finding the high-performing ideas and sounding the unicorn alert. So what do I mean by this? What I mean was, like, let me give you an example of this. Email marketing. So these are like all of the emails that I sent out last quarter, and you can see, like, some of them are donkey ideas, and some of them are getting 2, 3, 4 times higher open rates than other campaigns. And so, this is a more kind of fair way of judging the campaigns. I'm not just guessing which are the great campaigns. It's based on data. And so 44 fabulous tips for Facebook advertising is the hot topic. And so that's where we should be focusing more of our time and effort on the unicorns. Same thing if you have an offer that converts extremely high with like a 10 or 11 or 12% conversion rate, well, then you should be creating more content in that area as opposed to coming up with new crappy ideas. So I talked a little about sounding the unicorn alert and making unicorn babies. What I mean by this is just when you have an idea that's really popular, just do more of it. So for example, this was one of my unicorns from last year. Remember how I said 8 of my articles did fantastically well? Well, one of them was this one: 5 big changes coming to AdWords, everything you need to know. See how it's getting tens of thousands of shares on Facebook and on Twitter and LinkedIn, and has 33 comments in the blog post comments. So that was just, it was doing really crazy. And so I sounded the unicorn alert. Basically, we're telling my marketing team to start making unicorn babies. So what's a unicorn baby? A unicorn baby could be just, you take the same topic, but you turn it into a contributed blog article on the exact same topic, but perhaps as a guest article in Search Engine Journal or something like that. Why? Because if it did really well on your own blog, it's going to do well on other blogs. Another example is a follow-up story. So that's where you take the same idea, but just pursue the content topic and explore it in greater depth. All of these articles are getting tens of thousands of shares on Twitter, which is very, very high numbers considering like my typical articles on these niche marketing topics only do 300-400 shares typically. So here's another one: Google expanded text ad 10 things you need to know. These are just follow-ups in the same series, and every single one of these follow-up series generates 100,000 page views compared to the usual article which might do 2,000 or 3,000 views. Another form of making unicorn babies is to turn those blog posts into videos or infographics. For example, here's an infographic that I created with Brian Dean. It was the #2 article on Search Engine Land. We knew that it was going to do well because it was the #1 article on my blog. So if it does well in text format, it'll also do well in an image format because the topic is proven. Same idea with webinars, which is why we're here today. How to improve your webinars. Well, you shouldn't just randomly choose your webinar topics. What you should be doing is look at your social shares. You should be looking at your blog posts in the past, looking to see what's done well in the past, and you should be trying to kind of clone those ideas because it takes more effort to create these webinars. You want to make sure that it's a good topic. Here's an example. Remember when I had that unicorn of that article? I told my team we need to do a webinar on this exact topic. My team thought I was crazy. They said, "Are you sure you want to do the exact same topic? Don't you want to like come up with something new?" And I'm like, "Well, why on earth would you want to change a winning topic, a unicorn, into a donkey topic?" You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. But that's what a lot of marketers do. They take success and turn it into failure. What I'm saying is, if you have success, continue to be successful and extract more value from these winning campaigns. So we did a webinar on the exact same topic of the blog post that was doing fantastically well, and then within the next couple hours, we received 5,000 registrations for that one webinar. In fact, after that webinar was ran, and the reason why the 5,000 registrations was hit was because that was like a limit, like there was some kind of a pricing policy or something. Like I didn't have enough credits to go beyond 5,000 webinars or registrants. And so after that webinar ran, I told my team, let's do it again tomorrow. And they thought I was crazy, but they wanted me to change things, and I'm like, no, like don't turn success into a donkey. Let's keep the same topic. And we got another 5,000 registrations. You see what I'm saying? So like we just kept milking this thing over and over, the same webinar. We did it 5 times, and it's making very, very small changes to the title, and to the content. And that one webinar generated 71% of the registrations for the webinar marketing efforts for the year, even though we were doing 1 or 2 webinars every single month for the entire year. So I think that's where you get the leverage for your webinar efforts. It's in the topic selection, and when you find you have something hot, you really go all in on that. Of course, one of the great things about this strategy is that it's really easy to promote these things on social media because, as you know, in social media ads, the higher the engagement rate, the higher the click-through rate, the lower the cost per click. And so if you're promoting really, really hot topics, you can pay 1 penny per click on Facebook ads or 6 pennies a click on Twitter ads, whereas if you're promoting garbage topics on Twitter, it's going to be like $5 or even $10 a click, which is crazy. Okay, so that's my first strategy for webinar optimization in 2019 and beyond, which is the unicorn topic selection. We're talking a little bit about my #2 tip now, which is the unicorn summit strategy. So what the heck is a unicorn summit? Well, basically, it kind of builds on the same idea, but if you have one really, really great idea, what do you think will do better? One great idea or many great ideas, many webinars at the same time? What's going to generate more registrations? And the answer is going all in on a topic generally does better than just like one superficial webinar. And so what I mean by this is, just to give you an example, Mobile Monkey is conducting a virtual summit on September 20th on chatbot marketing and Facebook Messenger marketing. And it's not just one webinar, it's actually 8 consecutive webinars. It's crazy. And as you can see here, we've recruited, all these different speakers to do different subjects on the same topic. So this is kind of like an extreme example of the unicorn example, where you take one topic and you really go crazy with that one topic. And basically, the idea here is if everyone else is doing, just one webinar, why not do 7 webinars or 8 webinars or 10 webinars like at the same time? And the reason why that's so interesting is because you can explore the topic area in greater depth. Just have each person, take a small piece of the agenda and really explore that in greater detail on how to do chatbot marketing, how to do Facebook Messenger marketing, but very specific aspects like case studies or, agency studies or etc. It's like just going after specific things and covering it in such greater detail. And I can tell you, we've only been promoting this webinar. This is my MailChimp account. We've been promoting this webinar event for 2 weeks now, and we already have 4,415 subscribers. Whereas my typical webinar, we'd be pretty happy if we could get 300 or so registrations. And so I think that we can get to maybe 10,000 registrations in the next 2 weeks. And so the idea here is just bigger. If you're gonna do the effort of doing these webinar events, why not go all in? Make one big huge event instead of 7 little ones. And what you'll find is that you'll get actually a lot more bang for your buck by just kind of pooling the energy into one big thing than doing the 7 things, provided that the topic that you're choosing is a proven topic and not just some random topic that some marketing executive thought of in the bathroom or something. Okay, so that's my number 2 tip. My number 3 tip is totally new. It's talking about using the power of Facebook Messenger chat blasting to promote your webinar events. Okay, so this is a pretty new technology. It hasn't been around for very long, and it's actually the most powerful technology in marketing technology right now is chat blasting. So let me tell you a little bit why you should care about chat blasting. So first of all, there's more daily active users on messaging platforms than there is on social media combined. And right, we're doing all the social media marketing, but like more people are using Messenger and messaging, and less than 1% of businesses have any ability to engage with all those people, those billions of people on messaging. That's crazy. And if you think of just Facebook Messenger in particular, that has over 1.3 billion daily active users as of last September. So I'm sure the number is much bigger, in 2018. The open rates, wow, these open rates on chat blasting is like 70 to 80%. Now compare that to my MailChimp blasts, like 10% open rate. I'm like celebrating with 10%, which is ridiculous. It's terrible, right? And I'm considered like above average. Like there's some people who do email blastings and get like 3, 4, 5% open rates. That's crazy. Social media marketing, it's like you typically, when you put something on your Facebook page, 0 to 1% post visibility is pretty typical. And so I think chat blasting is a lot better, in terms of those engagement rates, because people are so obsessed with their phones. Chat blasting, I think, is like the next email. You can do all sorts of things that email could never do. So, for example, surveys, it's more engaging than email. Like you can't respond to an email, and usually it's sent from like no reply at. And so, like webinar registrations, we do all of our webinar registration outreach through Messenger. Why? Because people will see this stuff. And they can register directly in chat rather than having to go to some sign up page. So the other thing that we do is we send out reminders, reminder messages. So like 10 minutes before the webinar, we send out a push notification to the user saying like, hey, that webinar you signed up for like 2 weeks ago, it's starting in 5 minutes. And what we're finding is that can actually drive the sign up rates, or sorry, the attendee rates. So the likelihood that someone who signed up actually attends the thing you can raise that from 15% to 25, even 30%. So this is incredible, and of course you can do all the segmentation and drip campaigns that you typically do in email marketing, but do it in chat. And the difference is that people actually see this stuff. So the question is, like, theoretically this makes sense. A lot of people want to know, like, how exactly are marketers supposed to use Facebook Messenger to support their marketing and webinar marketing efforts. And so I want to just give you some concrete examples of how this works. So, once upon a time, 2 years ago, the way that messaging worked was that if somebody messaged your Facebook page by clicking that blue button on the Facebook page, then those messages would get stored into some inbox, some Facebook inbox dumping ground that nobody would ever go into and look at those messages. It would just get stuck there because no one ever checked. But if you checked, if your social media manager was really smart, they would go into here and they would periodically respond to some of these questions from time to time. And so that all changed, 2 years ago when Facebook released something called a Facebook Messenger API. This is providing programmatic access to that inbox, via programming languages. And so unfortunately, this is a little too complicated for like 99.999% of marketers. But what it does do is it allows clever companies like Mobile Monkey, that's my company, to build products that can programmatically download your Facebook inbox so that we can do chat blasting to everyone who's ever messaged your page. So this is a lot like MailChimp, like chat, like email blasting, except that we're sending them through chat. And so the way this works, it's very similar to how you do email marketing. Step one is just to create some content to chat blast to your audience. And so we have like this graphical editor for creating content. It's very simple. It's much like creating an email blast. Step two is you need to specify a list of names of people that we're going to chat blast. So that's just where you specify an audience, and lastly, you can chat blast the content that you've created. For example, a webinar invitation. You can chat blast that contact to a contact list. For example, everyone who's ever messaged your page, and email marketing. So basically, the difference between this and email marketing is that it's that people will actually see this content. So instead of having 5% people opening the thing, you'll have 80% of people seeing this thing because of the push notification. And this content is way more engaging than email. You see this chat blast that I'm sending here. Would you like to register for this webinar? And then there's a sign me up button. You can do the sign up directly in the chat conversation. You don't have to tell them to go to this other website and wait for it to load. Yeah, right. That's not going to happen. So basically, this is really helpful because I just want to give you an example. Every time I do a blog post or a webinar, I chat blast it to my audience. This is one that I sent to Neil Patel. Neil Patel is a really clever marketer, and he actually reads every one of my chat blasts. I know that he does this because I can see his little avatar at the bottom right corner there. That means he's read it, and he's still subscribing to it. So he must find that these are valuable. And so the question is, Neil thinks this is pretty valuable, but you might be thinking, is this spam, or not spam? Is this, because it does seem a little aggressive, but I don't think so at all, because when you look at the open rates and click-through rates of chat blasting versus email blasting, there's no comparison. So again, as I was saying, here's my MailChimp open rates and click rates. So of the people who open the emails, what percentage of them actually click on the links in the emails? And it's typically, here, 20% open rates, 1% click rate. Compare that to my chat blast, which get 60% open rates, read rates, and 20% click rates. And so what you end up as a situation is that a chat blast is somewhere between 30 and 60 times more engaging than the same content sent via email. And so my question is, if this is so spammy, why the heck is 60 times more people engaging with it? That to me leads me to believe that this is actually not spammy at all, and is very, very useful. And of course, the reason why it's very useful is because messaging cannot be spammed, not in the way that email is used for spam. Spammers cannot buy a list of messenger contacts and just load them into your Facebook page. That's not how it works. The users have to message your page first, and the unsubscribes are honored by there's no way to message someone who's unsubscribed from your page. Where spammers, they just relentlessly keep sending you emails. And of course, as I've mentioned a few times before, the content that we deliver in Messenger is more dynamic and interactive than anything you can do in email alone. So basically, chat marketing, it's like combining a little bit of an email website, an email marketing experience with a website marketing experience. This is kind of like a webinar registration conversation that's happening between a person and my chatbot. And the question is, how do you make this happen? Basically, as I was saying, you just use Mobile Monkey chatbot builders. It's a visual chatbot tool to create these experiences, where they're called messenger funnels, and basically we're just adding text and image. That's similar to creating a web page, except that these things show up in Messenger, so they send push notifications. That's why it's a little bit like email. It's being sent out. As for the dynamic elements, like how to do a webinar registration form where you ask for people's emails and questions about what's your job title and all the other questions that you want to use to qualify these leads. Well, you can create dynamic chat widgets such as forms or quick questions that could ask people, like, what time do you want to show up? 9 a.m., 12 noon, 3 p.m. Can I get your email address? Are you an agency or an in-house marketer? Those types of questions that can qualify the customer. You can send those through the chat stream, and ask and save those answers just like you would in a website, and that's what that looks like. In terms of the user segmentation, this is very powerful. You can ask questions like, are you an agency or in-house advertiser? Segmentation is extremely powerful because you can then customize the conversation. This is something you could never do in email. It was always sending out one email, right? Well, here we've sent them one sort of chat blast, but it sends to two different messages depending on how they answer the question. So if they say they're an agency, well, then we're not going to ask them about questions that make no sense to them. We're gonna do follow-up questions that make sense, like how many clients do you manage? If they're an in-house advertiser, well, then we're going to ask them a different question, like what's the primary objective of your in-house marketing operations? Is it lead gen? Is it e-commerce? That kind of stuff. And this is stuff that would take forever to qualify on email, but that you can get instantaneously through chat. The other neat thing is you can define lists or audiences of people based on the conversational criteria. So you could remember how I was saying, like, you have to specify a list to chat blast people with. Well, basically, when you ask those questions, you can use that as criteria for list segmentation. So here I'm creating an audience called, people who are agencies. Why? Because I think that they need different marketing content than people who work in-house. And so what you can do with chat blasting is you can send extremely relevant chat blast content to these audiences. And this is an example of one that I sent to agencies. It was actually a webinar specifically for marketing agencies, and it got an 85% open rate. Like, when was the last time you had an email campaign that had an 85% open rate? Well, that's not possible, but you can do these things with the power of segmentation and through the medium of messenger marketing, through chat marketing. The other thing that we do is we do these follow-ups. So it's just drip campaigns. So I've just set up sequences of autoresponders that I send out to everyone who registered for the webinar. I send them after 1 minute. I'll send them, join our Facebook group, or after 5 minutes, I'll send them some other offer, etc. Just so that the people who enter our funnel, it's kind of like remarketing, where you want people to remember who you are and what you do. You can just send automatically people. You can send messages over time. And so I just wanted to give you a couple tips lastly on how to grow that Facebook Messenger contact list. Because in the olden days of marketing, the goal was you had these landing pages, and you would drive people to these landing pages so that you could capture their emails, so that your email could show up in their customer inbox. 5 to 10 years ago, there was this thing called Facebook, and you wanted people to Facebook pages, and you wanted people to like your page so that you would have your content updates show up in their news feed. Now it's 2018 here. None of those old-fashioned marketing technologies work anymore. The new game in town is to get people to message your page, right? If they send you a message, then they become a contact, so you can send them chat blasts in Messenger. And so, I personally have around 10,000 active contacts in Facebook Messenger. You might think, oh, you only have 10,000 contacts. Like I have 100,000 contacts, in my email list. But remember, one chat contact is worth 60 times more than an email contact based on engagement probabilities. So it's almost like I've created like the email equivalent of a 600,000 email list in just a few months. As you can see, I just started in March or April, and basically we're adding 1,000 to 3,000 chat contacts every month. How are we doing this? Well, the worst thing you can do is just wait for people to message your page, because like 1 or 2 people do that every day. That'll take forever. There's a couple of really cool hacks that you can do to get tons of thousands of signups so that you can drive them into your webinar funnels. One of them is called a Facebook post guard. A post guard is basically, or a comment guard. That's it's like an autoresponder. So you can apply autoresponders to specific posts on your Facebook page. So if someone comments on one of your Facebook posts, you can then send via Messenger a quick reply asking them if they'd like to, subscribe to your updates through Messenger. And so the strategy that I employ for this technology is I find really engaging, content. This is one around goodbye Facebook newsfeed, RIP, Facebook declares newsfeed dead for publishers. I mean, people were really mad about this thing, and as you can see, it has 714 comments. So since everyone has an opinion on this and everyone's commenting on this, I put an autoresponder on this post, asking them if they wanted to register for some webinar on this topic. And of course, because people were so mad about this, everyone registered for this thing. So I actually generated a lot of contacts. Another crazy idea is to change the content that you're change the format of the content that you're posting on Facebook. Instead of just posting blog posts, instead you can post more interactive stuff. So for example, you can say, you can post questions. You can say here's a question for you, my audience, and you can say if you guess the answer in the comments, I'll send you via Messenger the answer along with an explanation. And this one got 57 people commented on this because they all had different ideas on how to answer this quiz. Another thing you could do is you could do a webinar registration where you say we're holding an event. If you want the secret sign up link, just drop a comment, and I'll send you the sign up link. And that's kind of a different way of thinking about it. How do you do this? You just create that content that you want to send to the user. You specify a frequency cap. That means how many times are you limiting yourself to send the same content to the same person, maybe once a day or once an hour, and then you have to choose where to apply this to. Which post are you applying it to? All of the posts on your Facebook page, or on specific posts? Another crazy idea is this thing called the send to Messenger button. This is a really cool technology that can replace those crappy landing pages that you're probably still using and are obsolete. And so basically, in the olden days, you'd have these really long and boring sign up forms that took forever and were very mobile unfriendly. Messenger, using Messenger, you can just have this blue button at the bottom, and if they click that button, then the advertiser receives all of the contact information, as well as messaging permission. So that person who clicks that button is opted into messaging, and we receive all of their profile information without having to have the user sign up for anything. And so that's a lot more mobile friendly, I think. And how do you do this? You just copy and paste some code and drop that code into your landing page instead of that crappy HTML form. And so along a similar lines, another really cool feature is this ability to put a chat widget on your website. And I'm sure you probably have already a chat widget on your site, like live chat or stupid drift or other chat products. The thing here is why this is so much more interesting than those products is because anyone who chats here is automatically added into your Messenger contacts. So even if you say hello, just by saying hello, they're entered as a contact. Whereas if you were using other products, because it's not through Messenger, you would have no idea who those people are. They could close the window, and you would have no idea who that was, and no ability to reconnect with them in the future, which is very frustrating for marketers. A third idea is to add the opt-in to Messenger button on all of your web forms. Again, it's just copying and pasting some code into your forms so that wherever you're asking for people to opt in via email, have them also opt in via chat. And lastly, there's this idea of links to Messenger, and so you can create content and link to it using a URL. And then in other ancient marketing technologies like email, you can include links to your next generation chat marketing efforts. And you can try this out, by the way. Just go to bit.ly/fb-blaster. Okay, that's an example of a URL that'll turn into a chat experience. Lastly, there's this notion of Facebook ads, and this is what we do to promote all of our webinar efforts and that big Facebook summit. In the olden days, I used to do, Facebook click campaigns. That's where you would pay for clicks to your website. That's kind of crazy these days because in America, those clicks are like $3, $4, $5 a click, and that's insane. What I do right now is I just use a different type of ad format called send to messenger ads, click to messenger ads. So if someone clicks this ad, instead of going to a website, they're going into my chatbot. And as soon as someone clicks that button, I get everyone's contact information and they're opted into messaging. And so that means that these ads, visit Larry's amazing chatbot today. It will blow your mind. Message promo for a secret discount. That will actually, every time someone clicks on this, will give me 100% conversion rate. And so I'm able to generate, this is my actual campaigns, guys. I'm generating contacts for like $3 a lead. I haven't seen prices this low since 5 years ago, like 2013. The cost per lead of doing a click campaign these days are $300, $400, $500 in the US for competitive markets. So those are some of my main tips today in terms of webinar marketing and hacks on how to make sure that these webinar efforts that you're investing time and energy into are really providing the ROI that you're hoping for. There was the unicorn topic detector. So this has to do with just when you're choosing the topics, don't just come up with topics out of thin air. Go with the proven topics that have proven themselves to work really good in other media like blog posts or email campaigns, other things, because those are the ones that are going to do well in webinars. Talked about unicorn summits, which are kind of bigger. It's just holding 10 webinars on the same day on the same topic, rather than doing one webinar a month for 10 months. You'll get more, substantially more return on investment on kind of making the big splash. And then we talked a lot about messenger marketing and how this technology can be used not only to drive registrations but also send out reminders to people so that people actually show up to these events as we were hoping for them to do. Guys, there's a profound shift going on today in communication preferences, and there's an entire generation out there that prefers messaging over, traditional email communication. In fact, more people prefer, communication via messaging than communicating via email and social networks combined. We haven't seen this kind of profound shift in communication preferences since 25 years ago, when email overtook phone calls, if you can believe that. So basically, if you're only doing email marketing, it does feel like you're kind of like one of those marketers that's only doing phone calls from like 20 years ago, which is crazy. So that's my presentation today. I hope you can try out that chat blasting bot example, bit.ly/fb-blaster. I see we have a couple questions here, but can we turn this back over to Q&A now?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the presentation, Larry. And I think we're ready to get like a few questions, Larry, right? So if you have any questions, please type them into the chat pad and Larry will answer them right away. If we will not have enough time to your questions, we will certainly address them after the webinar. So right now, go ahead and ask your questions. We'll be happy to answer them right now. Thank you.
Okay, so question number one from MS Chase with Mobile Monkey. Are the contact required to be a follower? Okay, so this technology, chatbot technology, only works with, you have to have a Facebook business page, right? And if a user, like, my wife or your friend or whatever, if the user messages your page through, one of the 5 different ways that I outlined today, the page will then be granted permission to have messaging conversations like chat blasts with that user, forever until they unsubscribe from your updates. Next question. Will other platforms going to be having chatbots? Right now, there's a fragmentation in terms of messenger preferences in the United States. There's believe it or not, some people even use these crazy things like, I don't know, Skype or Kik or etc. These little messaging platforms, and basically they all have APIs, but my suggestion is to start with Messenger, because it has more than 12 times more active users than all the other messaging platforms combined of the ones that have APIs. And of course, Mobile Monkey is looking to expand to some of those other chat platforms in the near future, but I don't have anything to announce at this time. Next question. Any way to connect into WhatsApp? Not at the moment, but hopefully soon. Next question. I have a Mobile Monkey account where I go for a Mobile Monkey agency. Just contact us at contact@mobilemonkey.com and ask about the agency plan. The agency plan is roughly, it's about $149 a month. That allows you to connect, all of your customers. So if you have 20 different customers that you're working for with your agency and you want them all to use chatbot and messenger marketing platform, you can connect them all for that price of $149 a month. And I think that's a pretty good price. Next question. Is Mobile Monkey similar to Facebook Messenger? Mobile Monkey is using all the messaging and chat blasting that we're doing is directly through Facebook Messenger. We're using the Facebook Messenger APIs. So think of it as a way of using Facebook Messenger, but using it in bulk. So instead of manually having to, compose messages to every single person in your messaging contact list, which could, be very expensive and time-consuming, it allows you to do that like in real time, like immediately as people are chatting with your business. Just to give you an example, my own website, mobilemonkey.com, we of course use messenger marketing to promote our products and services, and at any given moment in time, there could be 3, 4, 5 different people that our bots are talking to and chatting with or sending information to, you know, automatically, you know, kind of like how a website just exists automatically and sends out information, you know, like on demand. So we have that kind of same setup going on for our Facebook Messenger and Facebook page, where we're just engaging and communicating with customers in real time, but through Messenger using the chatbot technology. Next question. Are you familiar with any online personal training that combine mind, spirit, body wellness software templates that could be integrated with a mobile monkey? You know what? This is a great use case. Like, so many small businesses are using, you know, messenger marketing, because these small businesses used to use Facebook pages, right? But now the reach on these Facebook pages is near zero, and so what they're finding is they can reach their same customers that they used to be reaching on their Facebook page through Messenger, you know, for free, because it's there's no cost for like you don't have to pay for these ads, and so there's tons of small businesses like plumbers and you know wellness, you know, like fitness instructors, etc. They're all using this stuff to do, you know, to do schedule, you know, training or schedule things and send out reminders. My suggestion is, if you're looking to connect with other people doing this work, just go to the Mobile Monkey Facebook group. It's a Facebook group called Mobile Monkey Island. I don't know why I called it that. It's just kind of a cool name. And just go to Mobile Monkey Island on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, and just ask a question, like, you know, anyone else doing this. And I'm sure there's thousands of people in that group, so I'm sure someone will respond to that. Next question. Can we get the next one?
Hi everyone. I think we have all the questions. Yeah, all the questions are now answered. If you have any more questions, guys, please send them via email. We'll be happy to answer them after and send you as a follow-up email. Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much for this amazing and inspiring presentation. I hope you guys will learn how to effectively combine Facebook Messenger to drive growth and to drive registration to your emails. I wish you a good day.
To your webinars.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Larry, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And thank you guys for joining us for this webinar. We will send you the recording, like I said before, within a few days. And for now, have a great day. Thank you very much, Larry. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.